Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to another episode of SJU on Fandom. I am Danielle. Good to see you. We've got some great stories today. We're going to be talking about some Catwoman casting. We're going to be talking about some Venom 2 news and movies. Are they loud or am I old? I have with me Mr. Ed Greer.
Hello.
Mr. Dan Murrell.
The children are wrong.
And so we're going to get into story number 1, Cat Kravitz fever via Variety. Well done. Zoe Kravitz has been tapped to play Catwoman in Matt Reeves' upcoming The Batman. In recent weeks, the role has came down to Kravitz, Zazie Beetz, Baby Drivers, Isa Gonzalez, and Oscar winner Alicia Vikander. Ultimately, Kravitz went out, despite some people worrying about her scheduling with Fantastic Beasts 3, which, A, there's a Fantastic Beasts 3. Cool. And
Great.
B, she's in it. Didn't
Great.
she?
At this point, who?
No, I got nothing for Fantastic Beasts.
I
sorry.
think Fantastic Beasts 2, like she entered the movie as if she'd always been there.
It was so confusing.
Like, hey, you remember Zoe Kravitz? Like, I don't.
No, I saw Fantastic Beasts 2 before I saw Fantastic Beasts 1. And so I went in and I was like, oh, I got a lot of backstory to do on this Kravitz character. No, I didn't.
Well, it's like in Rick and Morty, that guy that just shows up. He's just like, I've always been here. I'm Squiggly G. Or it's like, no. And they're like fighting themselves. Like, I don't think you have always been here. I think you're this weird mind manipulating monster.
But Mr. Poop? No, that's not Mr. Poopy Butthole.
It's not Mr.
That's
Poopy
a different.
Butthole.
That's a different Rick and Morty.
Well, and also, I just hope she doesn't show up with a weird CGI mustache from having to be, you know what I mean? I feel like that's the only things in the modern era. Scheduling conflicts have given us that weird mustache thing.
Yeah.
In Justice League. So unless it's that, I don't see a big problem.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fine. And it's pre-production for this is starting this summer. There's no official date for it set, although insiders, no one knows who that ever is. Tell Variety that filming could start late this year or early next year. So first impressions of Zoe Kravitz. I think she's a great actress. I think that she could do a really good job in the role. What do you think?
Yeah. I like that list of finalists. Like those. That's a very interesting mix of energies, and so I like that they didn't look like they were looking for like, I want 4 of the same kind of person, like as far as like number 1 race, number 2 vibe. Every one of these actors brings, I think, a different energy to their roles. So that gives me a little faith in the choice as far as like, it wasn't like when it was like, who's it down to? It's like Eisenberg or Sarah. Like, well, you're gonna get the same thing either way.
Is it just which one can come in on Monday?
Right, yeah. It's like who asked for $5 less. This is like, okay,
Zoidberg or Cthulhu.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. But I think overall, looking at this, I think Alicia Vikander, whatever, is a nice choice because she was able to do like an understated sexuality as basically a robot, and forgot now, Ex Machina, and I think that she could have brought like a nice, cool sensuality to Catwoman, whereas I think Zoe can do that as well, but also be just like, I'm the hottest chick on these rooftops.
I feel like she's very confident in her.
Yeah, I don't go in for ASMR, and maybe it's a cultural thing, but I just think it's ridiculous.
It works. I have ASMR. It's a thing. I promise it's real. It's not fakey fake. My head tingles.
All I'm saying is, It got close to sexy and close to intriguing when she did that Super Bowl ad or whatever, where she was doing that ASMR with like the beer, and she was like, drink this beer. It'll make you cool enough to talk to me. Whatever. That was almost cool because she has such a captivating presence.
Also, apropos of nothing, she is a second generational crush for me. Because Lisa Bonet was very high on the young Danielle learning things about herself list. And so now there's Zoe who looks just like her. It's like Lenny wasn't even in the room.
Well, once you saw her, it was a different world indeed.
Oh, there we go. That's a show for us olds.
That's for 4 olds.
Yep. That's for 4 olds. Kravitz did previously voice Catwoman in the Lego Batman movie. Do you think they should take anyone else from the Legoverse? Go ahead and throw them into live action. Do anything?
My.
Throwing curveballs early in the morning.
Yeah, who would work live action? That's there's so many voices that pop up and like say
Very
stuff.
true.
Didn't Jonah Hill do like Green Lantern or something?
Yeah, it's always really
That'd
random.
be weird.
You know, he is very good at physical transformation.
He is.
So much so where I'm starting to worry.
Yeah.
Like you can't, because he like takes all the weight off for his life, and then people are like, no, but you're Jonah Hill. We want what we pay for.
Him and Christian Bale, they worry
Yeah,
me.
they worry.
Stop putting your body through
Well,
that.
Jonah Hill lost so much strength in his hands he couldn't hold his coffee that
Yeah,
time.
exactly. He's so weak that his coffee is dropping out of his hand.
No, you know what? I've always there was an aborted script for Green Lantern that had Jack Black playing Green Lantern. And I thought that was such a funny idea because of all the people who might need a magic ring to get some superherodom done, maybe a person who doesn't do that much exercising, So just like I thought that would be an interesting way to take. Why is Green Lantern a sculpted god like the rest of them? He's got a ring that does everything. He can be anything. He could be anyone. In any shape. So I think it'd be beautiful to have him be Green Lantern. I think that might be great.
We've also had baskets. We've already had Zach Galifianakis as a sad clown.
That's
so
true.
we could just do a Joker. Him and Joaquin Phoenix as the two sad Jokers.
Oh, sad Joker.
Like a Laurel and Hardy of Jokerdom.
Of
Like a big one, a little one.
Big, tall, skinny Joaquin Phoenix and Zach Galifianakis. And they go on the road and they do comedy like he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Except it's at Arkham Asylum. And they're both Jokers.
And it's like Llewellyn Davis, like they're all packing up their gear to go to the next gig, and the grease paint is smeared, and Tom Waits is playing all the sad clowns and all that stuff. Yeah, that's
Tom
nice.
Waits is a Joker in this one too.
Oh, yes.
I've just made a call. Tom Waits. First of all, Tom Waits would be a great Joker.
He would be a great Joker.
Terrifying, I think. Like old Joker. Yeah. So yeah. Zach Galifianakis Joker, but only if you team him up with Joaquin Joker.
Okay, and then also
And Tom Waits.
Tom Waits
Tom Waits Joker
That's their
on the
dad.
soundtrack. Yeah, like a Boondock Saints of Jokers.
Yes.
now, can we add Leto just so we can change the Jokers to a Z?
No. Hard no. That's a deal breaker.
Sorry, Leto. So Kravitz was also in an X-Men movie. Everyone is in X-Men movies. Should we just assume at some point everybody's going to be in Marvel and DC movies?
Yeah, that's like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a place for stars because stars not only get a chance to get out of their wheelhouse, and do something interesting that's wide reaching and that their kids can watch,
Yeah.
And also it's some of these roles. I have been a nerd forever, and it's great to finally be able to say this from the victor's seat. Some of these roles are great roles for actors. I'm sorry, there's no more old man in the seas. Like, oh, I caught a fish, and then a shark ate it. The end. Okay, that's the first 3 minutes of this Iron Man movie about Tony Stark fighting a tarpon. You know what I mean? There's so many things you can do with these such rich lore. 75, 80, 100 years sometimes of lore with some of these comic books and some of these IP. So it is the acting challenge of the modern age from a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who doesn't want to see, amazing actors do the and like try to practice that face and not make it look stupid?
It's glowing.
Yeah, it is weird though. Not weird. It's kind of fun now because so many have done it at this point that like any big movie that comes out, I'm just like in my head, I'm just like, oh, it's these. I mean, I don't only see it as this, but like I was watching Maleficent 2 last night. You can see a review later today here on Fandom Entertainment. But it was Angelina Jolie, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Michelle Pfeiffer, and I'm like, oh, it's Eternals. Whoever she's playing in the Eternals, Baron Mordo, and Catwoman / Wasp's mom.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just fun to think about Will Smith and Tom Holland. Oh yeah, Spider-Man and Agent J / Deadshot.
Yeah.
They're going through some of them for their second or third go round.
That is
which
true.
make that money.
Well,
please get that money. Yeah.
And one thing, I don't want to belabor the term about cities. People talk about certain people being associated with cities. I'll leave it at that. But like Catwoman as a person who knows the city, a Catwoman
Cats.
who is part of Gotham's. Like, look, rich boy, you might not know about this part. That was a thing that harkens back to year one.
Say urban. Just say it.
No, I don't want to.
Say urban.
I don't want. I was trying. I tried so hard.
It got so hard. Nope, not the hook. Just say urban.
It doesn't really matter. So I just feel like her being somebody who can be representative of like Catwoman. She got a little. Catwoman's supposed to be Pretty Woman. You know what I mean? Catwoman's supposed to be like, dude, I'm just trying to make my way. This is terrible. Oh, I saw this crazy bat person. That's nice. Yeah, I'm going to beat up everybody who took advantage of me. And all these different things about her that are sort of downtrodden and stuff. And then you got Anne Hathaway princessing her way through this thing. And why does she have to steal the rubies? Just go down and talk to her. Sit with a stockbroker for 5 minutes. You'll have a great life. That particular version of Catwoman, I felt, but I do feel like this person, sexual, city, this new, for lack of a better word, a new patina to Catwoman. I think this is a nice way to go.
There haven't been, and to your point, because of Catwoman's origins, she was originally a sex worker, and then she was a thief, and she was very much like, I can brand myself as this thing now, because that's what we're all doing. I don't know that we have gotten to really see a version of that on screen. I don't know that that's what they'll be doing here, but it could be interesting.
There's a new Catwoman origin that I was not aware of.
Wow. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Batman Year One, she's sort of just she's sort of a dominatrix. And she's just like, you know what I hate about one of the best lines she says in Batman Year One is, you know what I hate about men? Never met one. And it's like, I'd love to see that Catwoman on screen, where it's just like the city has beaten all this humanity out of her, and she's gonna react in this way.
But I mean, that is Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh yeah, very much so. No, very much so.
As a different way.
But I mean, like that whole thing of just like, wronged, and she's I don't care anymore. She fell out a window and she got bitten by cats, radioactive cats.
I think much in the way that Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, no matter what you think of this movie, no matter how great you think it is, that Joker deciding to go have a fist fight with Batman tomorrow is a losing proposition. That being the case, I feel like just like her being so meek before her transformation into Catwoman is different than someone who's like, man, I've been trying to find a way to hurt everybody and be anonymous my whole life, and then this rich boy showed me a way. I will become the knight in my own way and go beat him up. A greedy person deciding to advance their grittiness to me is different than a meek person basically in death becoming the Crow. In a Tim Burton sort of way.
Yeah. If Batman Returns came out today, there'd be a lot of channels with Michelle Pfeiffer thumbnails and like red eyes and stuff. And
DC and Warner Brothers bought out all the theater.
The same people that forgot that Eartha Kitt and Halle Berry existed when this casting was announced. I also love the thing, when an actor takes on two different comic book roles, we're just like, can we buy it in that? It's like, man, in the 30s and 40s and 50s, audiences bought that John Wayne was a different damn cowboy 3 times a year. Yes, I can believe that this actor can be in two different superhero films. Yes, I can make that stretch.
Can he be Jim McClintock and whoever the hell from True Grit? I don't know. Will the audience accept it? Yeah. Does he have to ride a different color horse in this one? It's silly. But he's got a Palomino in that one.
Palomino? Beautiful.
Palomino
That is a reference to the most obscure SNL sketch of all time. Beverly, they're gorgeous.
Welcome back to Horse Talk.
Lipazoners. Anyway.
This is SJU on Fandom. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Hit that bell. Last weekend, we put up a new episode of Movie Fights. It was Greg versus Ed versus Dorina. Very, very great fight. Also, we're really, really pumped for this. We made a Galaxy Quest documentary, y'all. The trailer is out. You can check it out on Screen Junkies. Plus, if you click the link, you can...
Sorry. You said Screen Junkies Plus, and I had flashbacks.
Oh, no, sorry.
Never put those two words together.
You can check it out on Screen Junkies and click the link to get more info to see how you can see this in theaters.
One night only. We have a Fathom event. You can get tickets now.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Pretty awesome. You can go to a theater and see our movie. That's cool.
Can I go?
Yeah, of course you can go.
Yay! I'm gonna go.
$15.
Oh.
And you have to give it personally to Dan for some reason.
Yeah.
No, all the money is going to just taking. I have a little lockbox. I'll be at the door. I'll come to your house and you can give me the money, and I'll give you a little tear off red ticket that you take to the theater.
And you go look at the box and it says Hat Fund.
Yes. I need 3 more of these.
Yo, can I get more wigs while we're at it?
Me too.
Story number 2. If she in Venom, she a shriek.
Ooh.
This is via deadline.
Wow.
The young people are taking over.
Young Ryan, killing it. The Marvel Comics character called Shriek has been incorporated into the plot of the Venom sequel, which is due in theaters October 2nd, 2020, according to 2 sources close to the project.
Smiggy.
A Sony spokesman declined comment, citing the early day status of the project, which won't begin principal photography until early next year.
Damn. kind of close, aren't they?
Yeah, they are zooming through this thing.
Yeah.
They're not going to have any time for any of the post stuff.
No.
You guys should really be on a lot somewhere by now. What are you doing,
Right?
Circus?
Okay.
The addition of Shriek is a logical choice considering the character's history in the pages of Marvel Comics as the sonic-powered accomplice and romantic interest of serial killer Cletus Cassidy, a.k.a. Carnage, who is going to be played by old Woody.
Woody Harrelson, baby.
Woody Harrelson, baby. So, yeah, we're pretty sure that he's going to be, based off of the post-credit scene, that he's going to be the primary villain in this. I know, that post-credit hurt me. Speaking of wigs, my God.
That's so crazy. I love it.
It's just straight up like a clown wig. It's amazing.
It's a Sideshow Bob wig.
Well, he looks like a gritty reboot of Ronald McDonald.
He's the Joaquin version of Ronald McDonald.
It's just like, one man was persecuted by chicken sandwiches till he couldn't take it anymore. The burger will rise!
Ronnie.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure that I bought that wig once at like a Party City when I was playing Axl Rose for Halloween.
Ray Kroc's taking his trash out and he sees a clown standing by the cans like, oh no, it's Rodney.
Oh no!
Ronnie.
But yeah, so that's going to be coming. And I know, Ed, we're both big comic booky, Marvel-y folks. Are you excited to see a Shriek?
I'm excited.
To life?
It's one of these things where obviously in the Marvel Universe, so many characters cross over into so many different things and get powers and adventures through different characters. I always love the consolidation when you only have access to one universe, i.e. she got some juice off of going through Cloak and Dagger's Dark Dimension. She was already sort of a mutant and she had this psionic ability, but once she went through and got infected with this dark energy, then she can like do stuff like manipulate people like with some of her sonic vibrations, some crap. I don't know.
I'm trying. Are crazy, guys.
I'm trying. But the
Cloak and Dagger is a dude you walk in, or Cloak is a dude you walk in. That's how he works.
Yeah, he's a freezer. I haven't killed anybody since 1984. Anyway, like he's got a big cloak and he traps villains in it, and they go to a dark dimension inside of it. And he's got a friend named Dagger who throws light. So like her darkness. So anyway, this lady screams a lot. And her screams obviously can disrupt the sonic jazz of Venom. So that's how I think she'll probably be used. However, she has a lot of other aspects to her character that if they choose to adapt them, I just want to see how they're going to fit all that in.
Right. Well, and so there have been like little hints and like little rumors that that eventually they are going to start getting that Spidey involved. We'll see. I feel like they've been saying that since Venom
So Ruben
started.
Fleischer says. We'll see.
We'll see.
Great scoop. Speaking of scoops, great scoop from our own Kim Taylor Foster.
Well done, Kim.
Covering Zombieland 2, getting that Spidey info out there.
Getting them sweet scoops. So she did, I believe, originally appear during the Maximum Carnage storyline. Do we think that maybe that could be what's coming next? Would that be a good way to bring Spider-Man in?
Well, she seems like a love interest type. In this particular way, they're going to show her as like sort of a person who maybe supports certain characters and then goes Harley Quinn on them later. I don't know. But I think, you know what? Putting Andy Serkis on here and then cutting it close, I think they're hedging their bets because they know he knows mocap. They know he knows green screen. He's been heavily involved in the process.
That's very true.
So they can go, okay, certain scenes that might take 2 weeks might take 1 with his experience. And given the fact that, everybody's hopped up on Mountain Dew, filming the second Venom.
Venom.
Yes.
Are we seeing this movie in a year?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's Sony. Of course they're going to rush it out and get it out. Are you kidding me?
Whether or not it's ready?
Yeah, whether it's ready or not.
Yeah, I agree with Dan. I agree with Dan. So Sony's like, look, I'm all about my paper. I was about to walk away from the Mouse Gang, baby, so I can keep all my money. So you best believe I'm about to get this movie out, and you're going to go see it.
They stumbled into a hit with the first one. I don't think it was, I think it was intentional on someone's part, but definitely not Sony's, the first Venom movie. which I like because it is so crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I hope they don't. We'll see. I hope they allow this one to also be crazy and not try to market test it to death, because I need more lobster tank moments.
More lobster tank moments.
More lobster tank moments is what this movie needs.
Which again, that was Tom Hardy being Tom Hardy on
Let
set.
him be Tom Hardy.
Yeah, on set. I found that when I did the Junkety Junket, that was his idea. He was like, you see that tank? I'm gonna get in that tank. And they were like, Tom, that tank is not meant for humans. And he said, figure it out. I'm getting in that tank. And then they figured it out by the end of the day.
I would be perfectly fine with Carnage giving a 5-minute dissertation on hemp. And why? And just let Woody Harrelson go and just put it in the movie. Just put it in the movie.
Yeah.
Put it in the movie. I do like that Andy Serkis seems like he would be an actor's director, because he comes from, as you were mentioning, he comes from that background. And a lot of times actors make great directors because they can get on that wavelength. And he's kind of a weird wavelength, Andy Serkis.
Right, and they understand the rigors of doing all that stuff. Like, okay, I got a bunch of dots on my face. I got to do Hamlet real quick.
Yeah.
He knows the rigors of that.
Yeah.
So I think he could speak to them in their language. That's a very good point.
Yeah. That's a great point. All right, story number 3.
You see the breaking news?
Breaking news.
We have breaking news. Deadline is reporting that Kevin Feige is now in charge of all the creative aspects of the Marvel publishing and stuff like that. So what we kind of been talking about were not just the movies, but now Marvel Entertainment and the family, the TV stuff is now officially all under Kevin Feige. That's something we previewed before, but that is just announced by Deadline right now.
Kevin Feige, all the TV shows, everything?
Yes.
That's what's
Daredevil is screwed.
So screwed.
Entertainment and TV and stuff like that, that's now all under Feige.
All under Feige.
All right, let me take a look at this story right now.
Oh, wow.
We talked about we were previewing that they wanted to integrate under one banner.
Well, there it is. Well, this is a comment. I'm not going to read that. Exclusive to Deadline. A major structural shift is taking place at Marvel as the brand looks to put even more of its stamp on the Walt Disney Company with the upcoming launch of Disney Plus. All of Marvel's creative personnel is moving under Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige. So that is everything.
Nice.
Well, I mean, there were incremental steps that had been done to this. No more Defenders, sorry.
Yeah, Defenders is Dunfenders.
Well, but like I said, and this is what I hate about the Mouse Gang. When they come into town, all of a sudden the water starts coming out of spigots and it isn't brown. And all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? All of a sudden you can take a walk at 7 o'clock at night without the reavers coming. So it lulls you into this sense of security that you're not in a giant prison of the mouse. You know what I'm saying? You start to walk and you hit that Truman Show wall and you're like, oh, that's the extent of Disney's freedom. You know what I mean? That's how I feel, because on one hand, I feel very heartened by this because I love that Daredevil series. I thought it was great.
I do too.
But there was an intense lack of parkour, baby. There was a intense lack of just even Arrow season 2 level, parkour and swinging and city branchiation, as they say. You know what I'm saying? Just all that Tarzan stuff, all the Tarzan parkour through the city, through Hell's Kitchen that Daredevil does, they didn't have the budget for it. They couldn't hire the Cirque du Soleil dudes or whatever the hell. They didn't have enough money for wires that didn't look stupid. So they eschewed it and did hallway fights, which were awesome.
They were awesome.
But I would just love to see a hallway fight that Daredevil gets kicked out of an 87-story window and has to parkour his way down or swing his way down from his belly club. Something cool like that. Under my man Feige's hat, boy, we got about $4 million for that episode, so we can do that start.
Ben Affleck gave me my fill of Daredevil parkour. I don't need to see
any more?
I saw it.
That was crappy
great.
CGI parkour. I'm talking about trained individuals flipping around for real, flipping for real, flip you. That's what I'm talking. I'm saying the qualitative difference between people flipping for real and some dude looking like a PlayStation 2 graphic jumping across 5-lane highways. That wasn't ever Daredevil's thing. Daredevil's thing was true blue American Ninja Warrior stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. And I know that with a larger budget, I could see that. Maybe we'll see some of that in Moon Knight. I just feel like the Mouse Gang comes in and they turn the water on, dude. I mean, for me, Daredevil being able to do cool parkour outside is the water. Drop it on me and Morton Joe. You know what I mean?
So you're saying Kevin Feige's like Daniel Plainview. He rides into this dusty town. He's like, I'm going to give you bread and a school and God willing, electric lines. But then he's also just like, and I'm going to suck you dry.
Yeah. And Netflix is like, where's our milkshake? We don't have.
I drink it. Train it.
I milkshake. Me and Luke Cage and Iron Fist were just drinking milkshakes. And now
What
they're all
happened to our
gone.
IP? Oh, yeah. Nothing left for anybody
Nope.
else.
Nothing left.
Oh, yeah.
That's gonna be. It looks like he's gonna be like the last man standing for publishing, and
I took your Daredevil.
There will be IP.
I ate him up.
So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. Like that was perfect. They're plain viewing, but the people who invested will get paid, and I'm invested in seeing my heroes. Even my street level ones have a little bit more budget, and the Hat Man will provide.
Congratulations, Kevin Feige, for being more powerful than you were yesterday.
We'll probably follow up on this tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do
we'll
a
do
more
a follow-up,
in-depth thing tomorrow as more news on this comes out. All right, so that is the story 4. Again, movies sound too loud, or am I old? This is via The Guardian. For the actor Hugh Grant, the experience of this is beautifully written. For the actor Hugh Grant, the experience of watching Joker at his local London cinema last week.
So much of that.
I know you took it out.
Well, yeah. I mean, have you ever heard Hugh Grant explain anything? It's like, it's quite wonderful. It's like, that's very nice, very nice. Anyway, this is very delightful, but what's the point?
Yeah, we're gonna need you to get there sometime.
And people wondered why Leonardo DiCaprio did a little stutter for Rick Dalton in Once Upon a Time. It's very real. There are actors who literally cannot talk unless they have lines.
Yeah, no, that's very true. He called it unendurable. Unendurable. Grant felt high noise levels in the auditorium had made his trip pointless, he complained on Twitter. I don't like the idea of Hugh Grant being on Twitter. There are just some people that the decade's wrong. Don't be on Twitter. Adding, the joke was on us. You think he smiled when he hit send when he wrote that? Yeah, he did.
He gave a little wry Hugh Grant grin.
The joke was on us. And he said, am I old, or is the cinema, all caps, much too loud? Publicists for View cinema complexes were quick to respond, assuring him that sound settings are regularly checked to ensure they comply, that's great, with health and safety standards, and promising to take up his case. And Grant was like, okay, but you don't even know what theater I'm in.
It's true. First of all, let's before we continue, let's go back and just see, like, anytime someone let's put this in a different situation. Let's say somebody wrote a letter saying, like, I found some lead in my water, and the person wrote back and they're just like, well, you know, our water is regularly checked to ensure it complies with health and safety standards. That's not a no.
Yeah, nope. It doesn't mean that they always pass. It just means that they do a thing.
And those two situations are exactly the same.
No, they're exactly the same.
Yes. One to one ratio as far as importance.
So, several sufferers have also argued that a lack of balance settings in an auditorium, sufferers, guys.
Several sufferers. Not suffragists.
Not suffragists, sufferers of sound, can create an unpleasant booming sensation. Something's booming. I can't watch mine or any films in commercial cinemas for this reason. It's like a restaurant adding too much salt in the food, agreed one producer. So, prompted by similar concerns, members of the British Tinnitus Association, I have to read this paragraph, who work to prevent hearing damage, have launched a survey on noise levels in public spaces. Look what you did, Hugh Grant. Now we've got the tinnitus people involved.
What?
Well, so, and I feel like
That's such a Chevy Chase 70s. When reached for comment, a member of the British Tinnitus Association said, what? SNL, and my chair sank.
Yeah, it did.
At that joke.
I'm terrified.
Here we go again.
We're gonna get this figured out. This chair thing, the sound thing. Apparently, so this sound thing is becoming a thing, and I know that there have been, aside from people complaining about the sound in auditoriums and things like that, there were a few years back, we started talking about something called the loudness war in music, where music just kept getting louder and louder, and like there was a bad balancing and things weren't leveled out. There was the Calm Act, which is about how TV shows are really, really, really quiet, and then commercials are super loud, and so that went into effect, I believe, in 2012. So the sound thing has been an issue. Has that something that has bothered either one of you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's been times when I've been in that perfect nexus of all the speakers, it seems like, where it's like everything is just aimed at almost militarily at me. But
Oh.
I must say that it's not normal, but I have been in theaters where I felt as though it was a little overkill, and I felt as though quiet moments were even loud. Like, boy, that cicada is loud as hell.
Yeah. Interstellar, when I saw it, was way too loud. And like I understand the idea of a director's vision, and like part of that movie is like, I'm going to assault you with sound, which is fine, but like I mean, like literally, like I had to hold my ears because it was painful how loud it was. I saw 2001: A Space Odyssey in IMAX, I think largely because that sound was done 50 years ago. There were high register noises in that film that were so loud. Again, I was doing this because I've been in theaters before where, yes, it is way too loud. I don't think that's an age thing. I think sometimes they just pump it up, and they also mention the idea of just, they're calibrated to a certain level, but that level changes depending on the shape of the room. That level can change depending on how many people are in the theater.
Yep, how low or high the ceilings are.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's a theater in LA that's just a one screen theater that I love to go to. But I've been to in different situations where if it's a full house versus an empty theater, the sound is drastically different, and when it's empty, it's, I think, way too loud because you don't adjust and there's less things for the sound. So yes, I think that sometimes it is way too loud. Dunkirk was, again, another Nolan movie, but in IMAX, like it was really loud, and which is like, I get it, but at the same time, like there is a limit where it's like I don't need it to be like literally like shaking me, and like I've had to hold my ears sometimes. I don't think it's because I'm getting old. I have to think that it's not because I'm getting old. I must.
No, this whole thing makes you feel real old real quick because I've been in movie theaters that were both too old, too loud and too cold. And I'm like, dude, I am my grandma all of a sudden.
I started bringing jackets now to the theater. It's like I'm officially Middle East.
It's too loud and too cold. I gotta have a freaking Afghan. I'm gonna come in like the drag me to hell old lady or something. Like, what the hell is wrong with me? But I think it's because they pump it up, especially summer months. They just go. If you show up in shorts, you might as well be going to the Arctic with like a windbreaker on or something. So yeah.
And the response that I've seen so much is like, well, it's set at this amount of decibels, which is within the health and safety range for consumers. Like, okay, I understand that, but like that doesn't necessarily mean it's a pleasurable experience.
Yeah, it just means it won't blow my eardrums off.
Well, it's the acceptable amount of rat feces in your cereal situation. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, there's an acceptable amount. Well, with ear stuff, we don't make it in giant factories. So how about you just calibrate it for like, what they got focus groups for everything else. Why can't we focus group up a little bit and see what, what's a decent level for some of this stuff?
I love particularly, and I've said it before, Nolan's films I think he shoots them for IMAX, he shoots them for big format. I love the theatrical experience. I think the sound is a big part of that. But I don't think that bigger necessarily always means better. And I think a lot of times, particularly with like IMAX and stuff, the overriding thought is like, well, we're going to pump it up as loud as we can because that proves that this is. But I don't feel like that's always the case, and I think sometimes it can be too much.
Yeah, I'm a loud person. Everyone who knows me knows that because I grew up screaming over the sounds of airplanes on the bases that I was on. So I am naturally a loud person. But yeah, it does bug me at times too, where it'll be like, or just like even the balance I find to be a problem sometimes, where I'm straining to hear dialogue, but then it hurts when anything else is happening.
Yeah, well, Blu-rays particularly, I find like Universal for some reason, their Blu-rays in particular, like I'll be sitting at home and I live in an apartment and I'll be watching a movie and I literally cannot hear what's being said. So then I turn it up, and then the second anything happens, just boom.
Yeah. Or when the score hits,
like
it's like you watch The Remains of the Day, and they're like, "My dearest Clara, I love you so much," and then the score kicks in, boom, boom, there's such love, and you're just like, and then whoever you're with wakes up, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I had it at a decent level, and it just jumped on me."
And I understand again that that's aesthetics, and that there's a variance, and some things are going to be louder than others, but it's like there's sometimes a disparity between the two because for whatever reason, I don't know, but yeah. It's complex and it's a subjective thing, which I think is why nothing's ever done about it, but. I agree with Hugh Grant that particularly in IMAX, films can sometimes be calibrated, I think, way too loud.
Well done, Hugh Grant.
I'm old with you. Hugh Grant, you and I are old together.
I'll join you at the old table.
Yeah, we're the olds.
Let's all get our Afghans. All right, so Ed, where can the people find you?
Oh, well, you know what's interesting? Me and Billy just did our live debut of Rebooted at, LA Comic-Con, and that was super cool. But back to the regular feed of Nerd Goat, we had a really great get this week, and I just want people to know about it, especially comic book fans. We got Ashley Edward Miller, who, along with Zach Stentz, wrote X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
Well, our show is about who your favorite fictional character is, Nerd Goat, Nerd Greatest of All Time, and his particular goat was Magneto. So for the second time, we had Scott Lobdell on to do Professor X.
I love him so much.
So we have Scott Lobdell on to do Professor
childhood.
X. Yeah, we got Scott Lobdell to do Professor X, and now we've gotten Ashley Edward Miller, who wrote the character, the version people know of a lot, one of the seminal versions, for the screen at least, of Magneto. So it was just such an in-depth conversation, so wonderful, and we've hit a nice vein of episodes. Dan's episode just blew up, and his love of Chief Brody from Jaws permeated the whole episode. We had Hector Navarro on to do Iron Man. Hector Navarro of DC Daily came on with a Marvel character and did a 2-part episode about Tony Stark, taking it all the way from the cave with Jensen.
That feels right.
From the cave with Jensen all the way up to the movie with the snap. You know what I mean? Just talking about all that lore. So we've had a nice vein of episodes, and I really would like people to check out the show who haven't yet. And thank you guys for letting me tell people about it.
Of course.
Like when we get Ashley Edward Miller, the fact that he's one of my friends now is weird. You know what I mean? And he's just so accomplished.
That's a weird LA thing.
Yeah, so it's just like, it just blows my mind. And so we're getting bigger and better guests. We're going to get Charlie Walkdell of Black Klansman to come on, who wrote the Oscar-winning screenplay for that. We're going to get Kevin Avery, who won an Emmy for the John Oliver Show, writing.
Yep.
So it's just like we're getting, Dan, I think you broke us open, baby.
Oh, okay.
Now, we had Mark Bernard, and I think he was our first big get, but then people like Dan come on, people like Hector come on, and it's just growing. So I'm very happy with the status of Nerd Goat Podcast right now. So check it out at nerdgoatpodcast.com or on iTunes or anywhere you can get podcasts. Nerd Goat.
Sweet. Go check that out. And to send you home, we were lucky enough to visit the Jim Henson Creature Shop to talk with Gigi Edgley from Farscape about the 20th anniversary of the show. If you've never seen Farscape, if you're a fan of Firefly, Doctor Who, I think you would actually really like it. I loved Farscape.
Yeah.
It's very much in that genre, but it's also got the makeup and the effects from Henson. And so to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the show, they are throwing a costume party on the Jim Henson lot in Hollywood. I know.
Wow.
I really want to see if I can go. It is going to be hosted by Brian Henson and the cast. It's this Saturday night, October 16th. If you are in the LA area, go. If I can't, please, and tag me in all your photos. If you love the show, if you're here, tickets are still available. You should check it out. The link is in the description. And here we go. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
When you walk on the set of Farscape, everything that you see and touch and feel and breathe and take in is that world. Hi guys, my name's Gigi Edgley. I play Chiana on Farscape, and I'm the host of Jim Henson's Creature Shop Challenge. I was never really into science fiction growing up. I love the phantasmagorical and the dragons and unicorns and creatures, and because to me there's something, it's weirdly enough, that's more real about them than a lot of the very sterile sci-fis I'd seen before. I was absolutely obsessed with the Dark Crystal and the Labyrinth and anything Henson created. So to be part of that universe now is extraordinary. I was around 21 and originally on for one episode. They took me into the makeup chair, and originally her actual look was meant to be more like Sokozu's look in Peacekeeper Wars with the orange and the mohawk, and the makeup designer saw the audition tape and went, oh, that's not going to work for this actress. So they literally came up with Chiana there from this inspiration of obviously the character and I guess this face and everything, and the makeup artist said, look, I want her to look like a black and white photo. I had a Creature Shop fitting, and at one point they gave me Creature Shop teeth with like fangs, but then I drooled a lot and I had a lisp as well, so they like scrapped that idea. She was beautiful. I couldn't wait, and I still have dreams where I can't take the makeup off and I'm like, I'm good. The makeup, the prosthetics, the costumes, the props, every single thing on that set is just miraculous. And you can also tell because all the crew know it as well. It's not just the actors that are like, whoa, you'll see grips and you'll see best boys and you'll see caterers come in and be like, oh, this is extraordinary. To me, Farscape is just a crazy, mixed up family in space. You've travelled through the uncharted territories with them and you've gone on many adventures that you've never really even experienced with anyone on Earth. So when I worked on the Jim Henson Creature Shop Challenge and Vigil came out for one of the challenges and I just unravelled. It's been so cool to meet fans one-on-one. Hundreds of thousands of people have been telling me for the last 20 years how it has touched them and inspired them and helped them through life. It's very special to walk through these halls, and even like when I was preparing for the Creature Shop Challenge, I would sneak onto set early to calm my nerves and really appreciate everything around me in this awesome universe. I didn't want to miss a moment because any second that you're, part of this world is so precious. It is my life. I'm so happy and I'm so blessed that I've been involved with this amazing production. Next weekend is going to be massive because one, I get to be on the Henson backlot again and you get to experience the Farscape family who are amazing and beautiful cast and crew that will be there. It's going to be a beautiful tribute to Farscape.